Man, yo, dog, I will never, I will never get over certain shit. Like, I know I talk about forgiveness and how we have to forget to truly forgive. But certain shit though, like certain shit, cause I gotta pop my shit sometimes. I don't even be in my ego or none of that. But sometimes people be having me fucked up. Like, you got me fucked up. I'm not even a jealous type of person, but that is so insulting. Like, I gotta laugh at that shit. Like, this year, 2026, I have heard some outrageous things. I have heard some outrageous things. Here I am sitting here battling vertigo from people trying to mentally attack me. Migraines from people trying to mentally attack me. And I read some shit like that. You're comparing me. I have to pop my shit. I never pop my shit. You're comparing me to people who watch Love and Hip Hop. I have a high IQ and I have a high EQ. And that is what you compare me to? How insulting. I feel indignant. like when somebody said, was I an indie animal? Hell no. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, born and raised. And I left Detroit, Michigan because I outgrew that place spiritually and mentally. But how are we talking about healing if nothing changes? If you're still feeding your mind bullshit? How are you expecting to grow if you're not sacrificing anything to grow? What are you offering to God? See, people want to remain in the world. You want to remain carnal. You want to remain in your old way of thinking, your old way of doing things, your old habits and your comfortability. You have an issue with being uncomfortable. You have an issue with being out of control or feeling out of control. God is in control. And this is my issue with all of those spiritually righteous, holier than thou, I'm high ranked, all of these illusions that these charlatans keep creating. The ones that want the clout and the fame and the likes and the monetization. The feeding the souls nothing, giving nothing, showing nothing. Telling people that God don't exist. Telling people that Jesus don't exist, never existed. Telling people that love is not the answer. Maybe for you and your reality. Maybe for you and your reality, but that is not the truth. And I will continue to stand on all 10 toes that I got pretty toes. I will continue to stand on my toes in truth, whether it's by myself or with 2, with 3, with 5, with 100, 1,000, 1,000,000. As long as I got God by my side, as long as I'm doing what's righteous in the eyes of the one whom created me, I don't have a problem with getting on here and typing the truth out. I don't live my life in fear. Another human cannot put fear into me. God created me. My sister said, yeah, God allows Satan to tempt us, but God has the authority. And I stand in that every single day. Every single day. I'm not comparing myself to ignorance. To ignorance. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? God gave you a gift. God gave you abilities. Everything is not a conspiracy. God gave you spiritual gifts and you're viewing them as curses and allowing time to keep going by, and you're living a life that does not belong to you. Where is your real confidence? Where is your truth? Where is your knowing? Where is your evidence that you really cleansed your heart? Where have you really forgiven? Where have you really forgiven? Where have you really shown proof of what you post online? You take my words, y'all steal my words, that's fine. You can have it. Feed it out there to the souls. I don't care that it came from me. I don't need credit. I used to care so much about having credit for the things that I've been through and experienced and typed out and put it into cyberspace, and somebody coming along and don't want to give me credit for it. Already been there, done that. I don't need your credit. I don't need your credit. I'm not doing it for monetization. I'm not doing it for a following. I'm not doing it for likes. I'm doing it for the soul. I'm doing it for the lost soul in the middle of the night who is trying to find answers, who is depressed, who is on the edge of suicidal thoughts, who feels alone in the world, who doesn't remember where their faith was or where they lost it, or who don't feel loved, who feel hopeless, who feel like Job, who feel down and out, who cannot see through the other side, who can't see the light, who feel like giving up, who feel like taking their life. That's who I'm doing it for. That's who I'm doing it for. I'm not doing it for clout. I'm not doing it for likes. I'm not doing it for follows. I'm not doing it to be popular. If I wanted to be popular, I would have been popular 10 years ago. You don't have to interact with my posts. I'm not here for that. I'm here to put the truth out there. People can take it, reword it, whatever they want to say, but the energy is there. I don't need to be worshipped. I don't need offerings. I don't need to be worshipped by other souls. You can't give me no offerings as the goddess that I am. Why would I need an offering? My Creator provides for me. The funniest shit I heard, and I will not let that go. Someone that I loved and honored and adored and respected, regardless to how she treated me. I loved her. I loved her. And she said, I tried to destiny swap her. I will never get over that. I've accepted it, but I'll never forget it. That's what I mean when I say I'll never get over it. I'll never forget it. You don't know. Do you know what it's like to stand in your truth? Do you know what it's like to stand in your truth with your back against the wall and the whole world is pointing fingers at you or laughing at you or ridiculing you for going back and admitting that you were wrong about God, for going back and admitting that you were wrong about Jesus? Do you know what it feels like to lose people that you love? Not physically. I'm not talking about just death physically. I mean, when the mental connections are gone, when the things that made it familiar, the things that made you stand in loyalty when it was an illusion, how strong are you? Are you really going to stand in the truth when it's just you? When it's just you? When everybody's saying that you done lost it, or you lost your mind, or you done went and joined a cult, or whatever the fuck they be saying, stupid shit. I'd be more appalled that you think that I'm that ignorant of myself to even have to stoop that low. The truth don't need no friends. If that's your truth, you stand in it and be immovable in it. I stand in my truth every single day, whether I'm online or offline. I don't have hatred in my heart. I don't have hatred in my heart. I'm not out here preaching something that I don't walk. I'm not out here causing chaos in stores or in my interactions with people because I feel a certain type of way or I feel some superiority complex because of my complexion or the curl of my hair pattern or whatever. No, I stand in my confidence and I walk in my confidence and I hold my head up high because God created me. The source created me to be who I am. The source chose me to have breath in my body. That's true confidence. That's true purpose. When you can acknowledge that God gave you breath, not another human. So you can walk around all high and mighty with your chest poked out with an egoic illusion of who you think you are. But the lessons of this life, the experiences of this life is going to strip away every false illusion you have of yourself until you learn to live through your heart. I can guarantee that to you. I've already been through it. I walk it every day. I'm not afraid to die. I'm not afraid to live. I'm not afraid to speak truth. One little lie costs us so much. One little lie, it festers and it ruins you from the inside out. Why hold on to it? Why feed it? Why help it grow when that's not your truth? Yes, it's painful to heal. Yes, it's painful to accept. Yes, it's painful to accept accountability for oneself. Yes, it's painful walking through self-forgiveness. Yes, it's painful walking through forgiving others who have trespassed or who have put trauma onto you or spoke ill onto you or put actions of abuse onto you. Yes, it is very painful. It's painful. But you fear it. You fear pain so much that you create these imprisonments on your mind. When are you going to free yourself? You have that choice. Excuse me. You have that choice to free your will, your inner will. That's what free will is. What is it going to take? What is it going to take in your mind for you to turn your thoughts around? What is it going to take? What amount of effort is it going to take for you to turn the negative thought programming in your mind, the obstacles in your mind, to turn it into something that frees you? I turn my pain into my fuel. I turn my experiences into my fuel to keep pushing my will forward. As long as I keep moving forward, I will get to where I need to be. I'm not looking to the left or the right of me and comparing myself to what somebody else is going through or where they are in their journey. Comparison is a thief of your joy. I make my own joy. And I remember someone said she lived in her own little world. I said, my world is not little. People always try to speak their prisons or imprisonments on you. They're programming on you. No, you can't limit my God. You cannot limit my Creator. You cannot limit the blessings that God said He will give to me if I walk this path of righteousness. If I eat the words that you throw at me, hoping that they will harm me. It's about enduring. Enduring. Who said your life was going to be perfect and easy and flawless, and it made you angry at God? Who told you that? Did you tell yourself that? Is that an illusion? You came here to experience. You came here to break curses. You came here to clear your bloodline. Do you think that's going to be without harm? Do you think that that's going to be without struggle? Do you think that that's going to be without obstacles? Do you think it's going to be flowers and butterflies and rainbows and everything is just la 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 perfect? No, you're going to have to go through some shit to help other people through it. That's what it means to be chosen. You chose it. You made the choice. You agreed to it. So who you mad at? Who are you mad at? You mad at God? Who you mad at? What is the root of your anger? What is anger? How will you know the answers if you never ask questions? And that's why I respect the saying when they say there's no such thing as a stupid question. And I will forever preach that because I believe that. If you don't understand something, why don't you ask questions for it? Why don't you ask for clarification? Why don't you ask for, why don't you ask what you don't know the answer to? Why don't you ask? See, and when we go into prayer, what do you think prayer is? Prayer is you asking God, source, universe, creator of all there is, I need something from you. I need to ask you something. That's what prayer is. Meditation is not the same thing as prayer. Meditation is where you go and you sit and you wait for the answer. Meditation is when we sit and we have our spine erect, not laying down, because you're going to fall asleep. You're going to wake up and be like, damn, I was supposed to be meditating, I done fell asleep. Yes, because your spine is not erect. Your spine needs to be erect during meditation so that the energy can flow from the top down into the seat of your soul. So the energy can flow from the crown of your head, where we receive our messages from the Creator, all the way down the spine into the seat of the soul, which is your solar plexus. That's what gives you true confidence. The solar plexus chakra, the seat of your soul. It's hitting all your chakras. The answers, downloads. That's what we call them, the downloads. Ding, 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 ding. If you never take the time to meditate, how are you going to hear the voice of God? God's voice is not the only voice that we hear. Your thoughts are constantly being intercepted. How are you going to hear the true voice of God if you never take the time to sit and meditate? How are you going to know? How are you going to distinguish the voice of God if you never go and pray about it? and then sit in meditation for the answer. What are you sacrificing in your life? I'm not talking about going to go sacrifice animals on an altar and doing all this voodoo type of shit. I'm talking about what are you sacrificing as far as your thoughts or your actions in your daily life on the altar as an offering up to the Creator so that it can give back to you, so that it can replenish whatever you are giving up. How are you going to receive from God or source if you got your hands balled up? If you got your heart balled up? If you got your mind balled up? How can you receive anything? That's just like me trying to pour change into your hand. How can I pour this change into your hand if your fist is balled up? The change is going to fall on the ground, right? You got to open your heart. You got to open your hand. You got to open your mind to receive. That is the sacrifice. You are constantly sacrificing. Every time you inhale and exhale, that is an exchange of energy. The trees give us oxygen so that we can breathe. And we give them what? We give them what they need to survive. Everything is an exchange. If you don't want to sacrifice anything, then stop expecting to heal. Peace, peace, peace. I love you. I don't know who's commenting. I will check it in a minute, but I'm just in the flow and I don't want to break the flow state. I have been dealing with vertigo all day, being attacked mentally. This is what I deal with, sometimes on a daily basis, trying to attack my mind so that I can't use it to its full capacity. This is what we deal with spiritually. We are fighting a spiritual war. We are fighting a spiritual war. No, they don't want you to use your brain. No, they don't want you to use your mind. No, they don't want you to live in your heart. No, they don't want you to speak from your heart. No, they don't want you to speak truth. No, they don't want you to kill their vibrations of hate. No, they don't want you to control your sexual energy. No, they don't want you to control what you give your attention to. No, they don't want you to be able to interpret a message and a song where it's trying to program you. No, they don't want you to be able to interpret a movie or a TV show on where it's trying to program you. They don't want you to remember who created you. You didn't create yourself. And these people and their trends and their popularity and their reels and their monetizations of trying to keep you in this egoic state of mind, this angry state of mind, this lustful state of mind where you want to have power over somebody else, where you want to have control over somebody else. Why don't you want to have control over yourself and own yourself? Do you not find yourself worthy? Comparison is a thief of joy. Trying to live a carnal life, yet speaking of love and against spirituality, is being of service to the matrix system. I will continue to post. I will continue to post. This page is my legacy. This page is my blueprint. I have been very transparent in my life with my experiences, how I got to this state, how I have defeated myself, how I have defeated my own ego, and when it's okay to pull it back out. Peace, peace, peace. It says, for the scripture that popped up on my phone, it says, as the day ends, bring your thoughts and behavior to God, seeking His forgiveness and peace. That's the prayer that popped up. When are you going to stand in your truth? Do you need a crowd to stand in your truth? When are you really going to cleanse your heart? Do you cleanse your heart daily? Are you still holding on to trauma from your past? Are you still holding on to abuse from your past? Are you still holding on to bitterness from your past? Are you still holding on to what somebody did or what somebody said or how they mistreated you? Have you truly accepted accountability of your role that you played? Have you focused on self-forgiveness? Have you given yourself forgiveness? Have you apologized to yourself? Have you accepted yourself for the ways when you did act incorrectly, or where you were wrong, or where you didn't have the knowledge, when you didn't know any better? When you were just living in your ego and its programming, or when you were living through things that you've seen and you thought were correct, and you've lived and you've experienced enough to know that no, that wasn't correct. Have you forgiven yourself for that? Have you accepted yourself for that? When we talk about love of the self, or when we talk about love in general, you have to give that to yourself first. You have to give yourself love so that you can know what it looks like when you receive it from someone else. Until you give yourself love, love from someone else seems like an enemy. What is the self-love standard you are setting for yourself? The most important relationship that we have in this life experience is the one that we have with God's source. The second most important relationship that we have in this life is the one that we have with ourselves. Everything after that is your relationships with others. So the first relationship you must remember and you must work on is the one that you have with the creator of you. That's where true confidence comes from. Not in you comparing your life or your material possessions or your things or your skills and certificates to somebody else's life. No, your true confidence, the true confidence that sits in the seat of your soul and your solar plexus, is the connection you have from the crown to the source creator, all the way down to your soul, your truth. That's where true confidence comes from. Not from this tangible flesh, or these experiences, or these illusions of experiences we have in this life as a human. Nothing stays the same forever. Life is constantly changing. Everything is constantly changing. like the faces of a Rubik's Cube. The thing that stays the same is the core. That's you. Your heart. Not your human heart. Your heart, your soul. Love yourself enough to say enough is enough. Love yourself enough to say, I am bigger than the mission I accepted and forgot before I came into this human experience. Love yourself enough to know that you are more powerful than a generational curse. Love yourself enough to know that you are more powerful than any enemy, inner me, inner versions, inner projections, inner illusions of yourself against yourself. Love yourself enough to stand in the truth. Love yourself enough to seek the truth. Love yourself enough to be open to the truth. Love yourself enough to stay consistent every single day in admitting that I need to clean my heart. I need to clean my heart today. I need to clear my mind today. I need to rest today. I need to give myself grace today. I need to give myself forgiveness today. I need to give myself hope today. I need to give myself a chance to stand in my faith today. I need to give myself a chance to believe a positive thought today. I need to love myself enough to believe the commands that I am overriding my brain with. No, I'm not that person. No, I'm not. No, you cannot just say anything to me because I love myself. I know myself. I'm learning myself. I am healing myself. I am forgiving myself. And you stand in that truth, even if it means you stand alone. What are you fearing? What are you fearing? What are you fearful of? You already in pain. You already in pain. As Dr. Eric Thomas said, get something out of your pain. And I never forgot that. I never forgot that. I remember listening to those sermons. I remember listening to those sermons constantly when I was walking 2 miles at 5 a.m. Nope, it wasn't even 5 a.m. I remember when I was walking 2 miles in the rain, sleet, snow, cold, below freezing temperatures up in Michigan to go work in a plant for 8 to 10 hours a day. I remember listening to those motivational videos. I remember listening to those gospel songs. I remember crawling on my hotel bathroom floor because my body was so sore. All my muscles were sore from working in a plant. I remember that. I remember that. I pushed through that. I pushed through it. Sometimes all I had was God. So I will never be ashamed to talk about God. I will never be ashamed to talk about Jesus. I already had my moments where I was ashamed to hear the voice of Jesus. I already had my moments where I was ashamed to have gifts and abilities. That gave me an unfulfilled life. That gave me an empty life. Because deep down I knew that I wasn't living up to what I agreed to live. I was going against God by not appreciating the gifts I had to deliver messages to other people, to the lost souls, the ones who didn't have faith. I was 10 years old prophesying to people. I was 10 years old. I was 7 years old when I saw my mother's face. She had already passed away. This is not something that I made up. This is not a memory that I've made up. This is not a conspiracy that somebody programmed into my head. This is my life experience with my own 2 eyes. And my birth sister, she sat there and saw the same exact thing with me. I've never been afraid of spirits or ghosts or spiritual things that went bump in the night, because that was my life. That's been my story. And I didn't want it. I remember when I begged God to take these abilities from me. I was about 11 years old, maybe 13. I can't remember the exact age, but I kept hearing so many messages coming through from Jesus, and I kept getting so many messages to give to so many people. I felt like a monster. I felt like a freak. I felt like I wasn't a normal kid. Why can't I just be a normal kid? What is normalcy? What is normalcy? Why do you want to be normal? God didn't create us to be normal. God didn't create us to all be alike. God didn't create us to be a robot. Yes, no, yes, no, yes. No. 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 God didn't create you to be anybody else but you. Why do you want to be somebody else? I've never compared myself to somebody else. I don't understand the thought process of it. I didn't want to be myself, but I didn't want to be somebody else. I just didn't want to be myself because I felt like it was too much. It was overwhelming. Why am I hearing all of this? What happened to me watching SpongeBob or Rugrats or some shit? Like that was the thought process I had. I didn't want the gifts. I didn't want to constantly hear people's life stories in my head. So I begged God to take it from me. And did I suffer? I suffered. And pieces of it was still there. Little pieces of my intuition. I would still hear certain things throughout the years. I would hear, don't go there. I'm like, okay. I would hear, don't go that way. Okay. I would hear things like that, protection things. I remember being protected in car accidents. I remember seeing semi-trucks coming at me. How didn't they hit me? I remember experiencing experiences where I should have been hit. I should have been dead and gone several times. And something protected me. Something always protected me. So when I get on here and I speak my truth, I lived it. I'm not ashamed of it. I wouldn't be here without it. I experienced paranormal activity, living in a house where people were killed and died, and I didn't know. I kept hearing things. Kept seeing things. And nobody else was being affected. I remember I cleansed my house with salt and sage. This was back in 2016, 2017. And then waking up saying the Lord's Prayer, walking through blessing the house, and waking up the next morning with scratches on my arm. I've experienced this. I've lived this. This is not something that I'm making up. This is not something that I got from a movie and I'm just saying it to just be saying it. No, this is life. You are a soul. You are a consciousness listening to me. I am a consciousness speaking to you. This is spiritual war. So I said, after I went through everything that I went through, and yes, I already went through my superiority race phase. I went through that phase. Where I was watching documentaries and seeing where they lied and where they took things out the Bible and where they were trying to make black people feel inferior. I already went through that phase. But you know what got me through that? It didn't make sense. I could see the illusion of it. I could see the illusion of the hatred that overshadowed the messages. So you telling me that I need to have hatred towards a set group of people because of what a couple people did? Well, how am I any different from them? Wouldn't that make me the same as them? If I hold hatred against them, wouldn't that make me the same? If I love myself, and I'm taking the principles of what Jesus the Christ taught, then it makes no sense for me to hate someone else just because of the color of their skin or the texture of their hair. So what argument do you really have here besides trying to keep someone in low vibrational state of hate? You're still pushing hate. And a lot of people cannot see beyond that. They can't see it. I saw it and I walked away from it. I saw it in my experiences. I saw it when I heard the voice of Jesus, when I heard the voice of God. It didn't discriminate. It didn't pick and choose who I was giving the messages to based on how they looked. The looks didn't matter. The physical appearance didn't matter. When I've been in the hospital, when I've given birth to my children, when I've worked in certain places, the skin color didn't matter. I met nice people of all races. I met evil people of all races. It didn't matter what the outside looked like. It didn't matter about the DNA. What mattered was what vibration were they on. What mattered was how close was their heart. What mattered was their soul and how their soul received or perceived me. That's what mattered. So you can't place me into a box of limitations or a box of what you want me to hold or hold on to because I'm supposed to be a part of a certain community. I'm not a part of any community. I don't even consider myself a part of the spiritual community because most of the spiritual community is not preaching what I preach. Most of the spiritual community has disconnected themselves from the principles that Jesus the Christ brought, which disconnects them from source, pushing agendas that they don't even realize that they're participating in. I never tell you to enhance your consciousness with something outside of yourself. I never promoted shrooms. I never promote you indulging in getting drunk or getting high out of your mind to connect to God. I never promote that. I never promote that. I always promote for you to be sober in your mind so that you can always remember how to get back to being balanced. Because meditation and opening your mind up and opening your heart up, all of that can drive you crazy. It can drive you insane. Waking up drives everybody insane. I've watched so many people that I've admired and interacted with, and a lot of people were close friends of mine. I had a best friend of mine. I watched him go insane. And it's always the same pattern. It's always the same pattern. They never want to acknowledge Jesus the Christ. They never want to acknowledge Jesus the Christ, and they always get mad at me for acknowledging Jesus the Christ, and they always go insane. Always. Never fails. Never fails. So logically, with me telling you that, what do you get from that? What do you think of that? Wouldn't that tell you something? Wouldn't that tell you, oh, that means something? If I don't know something, I try to find the answer to it. If I don't know something, I ask for clarification on it. I try my best not to assume. And if I have assumed, or if I have thought incorrectly, and something was brought to my attention, knowledge or wisdom, and I see where I was incorrect, I have no issue with acknowledging that I was incorrect or that I was wrong about something. I have no issue with apologizing. Right? But we have to stop being fearful of wisdom. We have to stop being fearful of change. If you want to heal, it's going to require change. It's going to require some sort of sacrifice. You spending 5 minutes a day to pray, that's a sacrifice. That's you sacrificing minutes out your day. That's you offering up minutes out your day to sit with God, to ask God. Your mind is so powerful. Your mind is a magnet. Your heart is a magnet. You are a magnet. So whatever you vibrate on, whatever frequency you vibrating on, you're going to either attract that to you or you're going to repel it from you. Everything is energy. Everything is energy. People's words that they speak to you, that's energy. Your brain is a magnet. Your brain is a sponge. So whatever you hear from somebody, they're programming it into your brain. Everything that you see, they are programming it into your brain. Your brain is interpreting whatever it is that you see. Your imagination is powerful. Imagination. If you think about the word imagination, you see the letters, right? Thinking about the letters. Imagination. Images in a nation. Images in an action. Images, action. When I took photography in college, have you ever thought about where videos come from? What is a video? This is not even me being funny. This is just me being a teacher. Because sometimes we just don't know. We don't even think about the simplistic things in life because we're so used to fast-paced everything. What was that? A fast pace. Videos are pictures. Pictures. So many pictures combined together that it creates a video. Images in action. Everything that you see is programming your mind. So when I post commands and I repeat it 3 times, it takes 3 times for you to remember something. Repetition, repetition, repetition. My brother said, it sounds like she's casting a spell. Well, technically, I am. I am speaking to your conscious mind and your subconscious mind and your heart. Repetition, repetition, repetition. I'm hitting all 3. I'm breaking each barrier. If you can have a negative thought and it's programmed into your mind, how are we going to change that negative thought into something positive? Or how are we going to overwrite that virus? How are we going to overwrite it? I'm going to overwrite it by reprogramming something else to replace it with. So instead of you going to a negative thought first, like you would normally do with your old mind or with your old thought that's connected to whatever that experience is, I'm going to reprogram it with a positive thought so that instead of you going to that old negative thought, you're going to automatically go to the positive thought because we overrode it. That's all my commands are. We are overriding the negative thought that we have been harboring and festering and holding on to for years and decades. Because some of us are in our 30s, our late 30s, 40s. I got all different type of ages on my page. But you've been holding on to this programmed thought for decades, for years. You're not going to overwrite or change your life in the blink of an eye. This is why we talk about giving ourselves that space of grace. That space of grace. That harsh self-judgment. That low self-esteem. It's going to take you a minute to pull yourself out of that low self-esteem. It's going to take yourself a minute to pull yourself out of that harsh self-judgment. Because that's what your mind is programmed to automatically do. Have negative thoughts, pessimistic thoughts. If you have not been feeding yourself positivity, if you have not been feeding yourself from a loving space, if you have not been feeding yourself from I'm trying to think, from your heart, you've been feeding yourself from comparison. You've been feeding yourself from lack. You've been feeding yourself from a worldly view. So when we talk about a new birth or a new mind, what it means to be resurrected, that means that you have made the choice to choose to do things differently, to think differently, to move differently. Give yourself grace. Give yourself space to have grace. Okay, well, you cut somebody out at the grocery store. That's what you used to doing. But you've been trying to work on yourself. That was a test. Okay, you go home, the whole ride home, you still thinking about you cussed this person out. Oh, I should have did this differently. I should have spoke differently. I should have just ignored it, or whatever it is. But how long you gonna hold on to that? How long you gonna stay there? You gonna let that ruin your week? You gonna let that determine how the rest of your week go? You gonna let that determine how the rest of your night go? You gonna let that You're going to let that program thought that you're working on, you're going to let it hold you hostage there? Or you're going to take your lesson from it? You're going to extract your lesson from it and keep moving forward. A lot of times we are just our expectations of the healing process is just unrealistic. It's unrealistic. We're unrealistic towards ourselves and each other. Because if a person don't know how to love themselves, how you expecting them to love you? Like, I ain't even trying to be funny, because I have done this, and this is a lesson that I'm still working on. Expectations is the lesson that I'm still working on. We have to give ourselves grace, okay? Then we have to give others grace too. We got to get them grace too. Because if I'm steady saying, oh, you don't love me, he don't love me, he don't love me. And it's like, well, do he love himself? Like, do he know what that means? Like, do he love himself? Like, because you can't really hold him accountable for something that he can't see for himself, something that he don't give to himself. How is he going to give it to you? That's just like you going to a job that you ain't never worked, ain't got no skills, no training, nothing. And they like, hey, you read this blueprint right here. You know how to do this, all of this. No training, no nothing. No shadow training, nothing. No internship, nothing. They don't even give you a manual. They don't even give you an employee handbook. Nothing. And you just like, well, what the fuck? Like, what in the fuck? That's exactly what it's like with healing. We are entirely too hard on ourselves with our expectations or timelines of healing. It's only been the first day that you admitted that, yes, I had a problem. Or yes, Polly Pocket pissed me off back in 1992. And I finally have realized that I need to let it go. That I need to forgive Polly Pocket for what she did. You're not about to be a Catholic priest the same day. Like, what? I don't know what you expected. Like, you gotta give yourself the space of grace. Okay? Stop expecting to heal all your shit overnight. That's just not gonna happen. The stuff that I have been through and that I'm posting about, I have been working on it for a good decade. Probably longer than that. And I still get tested every single day. And I have to clean my heart every single day. So I don't tell you nothing that I don't actively do. Because a lot of times I see shit on Facebook that I want to talk about, or that I want to let my ego attack. And it's like, let me take a step back. What is your spiritual responsibility? How can you use this as a lesson? How can you use this as a lesson for somebody else? That's what the healing process, it gives you that moment. It gives you that space of hesitation. You expecting to be this heal guru who sits on a mountaintop and nothing affects me. Nothing affects me. Nothing. And it's like, like, oh, that's what you think? Well, the universe is gonna send every fucking weapon in its arsenal to get you to come off of that fucking square. Everything. You think you're gonna pass the test? You're not gonna not be tested. You're not going to not be tested. Your healing process is not about you not ever being tested again. Your healing process is about what? What do you think it is? I'm just tell you. Your healing process is about how you react or how you respond to whatever the test is. Giving yourself that moment of hesitation instead of just having a trigger reaction to everything outside of you that's trying to get you to get off of your neutral square of balance. How are you going to handle it? That's what growth is. Not you thinking that you're just some meditating guru, sensei on a mountaintop. Like, no, you have a real human life experience to keep on living. You're going to be tested to apply what you've learned. Give yourself the grace of space, the hesitation to think before you react or respond from the ego. The ego does not disappear. Everybody is under this false illusion that the ego disappears, it dissipates. Do these magical shrooms like Mario and Luigi, and you will never have an ego again. No, sorry, they lied to you. I'm so sorry. They lied to you. And it's okay, because I was bamboozled too. I thought that I got my ass whooped. Listen, I got my ass whooped so many times that I thought that you had several ego deaths. That's how many times I kept getting my ass whooped. I'm talking about spanking after spanking after spanking. I thought that the ego kept having to die. That's how many lessons my ass kept failing. I thought that you had 1,000 ego deaths because I was not getting the picture. No, you only have one ego death, right? And then it regenerates. It's regenerative, like how certain fucking reptiles can regrow limbs and shit. That's your ego is like that. But when it comes back after you consume it, and it comes back, it automatically separates. You separate from it. You become your true being, and then it separates, and you can see it for the veil or the protective armor that it is, the illusion of what it is. You only need your ego here on Earth School. You don't need your ego in the ethers. You don't need your ego as the soul and the spirit that you are. You don't need your ego there. What do you need your ego for? It's only valid here. What happens on Earth stays on Earth type shit. The ego, no, it doesn't go to heaven with you. You go beyond your ego to reach a state of heaven. So, with that being said, when I always say you are not your ego, I'm talking to your true being. The real you that's hiding under all those layers of trauma and experiences and what you accepted when you crossed over into this realm of having a human experience. Your true being, who you are on a soul level, is not your ego. Your ego is a shield of armor or protection against your heart. Your heart. What is your heart? What did I say your heart was earlier? Your core. Your soul. So when you closed off and you don't want to live in your heart, and you don't want to speak from your heart, and you don't want to think from your heart, and you don't want to talk from your heart, and you don't want to live from your heart, you're not. Say it. I'm not being my true self. You're not being your true self. You're not your ego. And that's why I don't be giving a fuck about your ego and its feelings. I don't give a fuck about my own ego and its feelings. No offense. Okay, she said none taken. I don't be giving a fuck about my own ego because I know when I get in my ego, I am stubborn, immovable. I don't want to hear shit. Even my own mama can't get through to me. And I don't be wanting to hear shit because my ego is immovable. She is a feisty motherfucker that don't want to hear shit nobody got to say. And I think she is a bitch. And I don't call myself that. But I'm not my ego. She is immovable. Stone cold. Nothing can penetrate her. Nothing. Immovable. Mean. And then when I calm down and I get out of my emotions and I get back into my heart, I realize, oof, I was in my ego. That's not me as the observer. That's not me. That's not me. That's a protective shield against me feeling hurt or me having a fear of being hurt. That's not me. Self-mastery. When we talk about self-mastery, we are trying to get you to see that you are not your ego. Why is it controlling your life? Why is it blocking your blessings? Why is it blocking your connection to source? Why is it blocking? Why is it cop blocking you? That's what we are talking about when we are talking about self-mastery. Then you got all these people that's just like, oh, self-mastery. Oh, that's some demonic shit. Oh, tarot cards. That's some demonic shit. Oh, everything spiritual is demonic shit. Oh, you talk to crystals. That's some demonic shit. And it's just like, oh my God. Like you, like, like, okay, Susan. Well, what are you giving people? What are you, how are you equipping the souls? Because this is a spiritual war. So how are you equipping people? What are you teaching them? What are you teaching them? Are you telling them that they have no power? Are you telling them that they have no power? Are you telling them to not use their minds? What are you giving them? What are you giving them? I'm going to tell you, and I will never not tell you, to study yourself. Who else you supposed to be studying? Who else are you supposed to be studying? Because if you studying somebody else, guess what? We're going to take it back. Comparison is a thief of joy. Comparison is a thief of joy. Comparison is a thief of joy. So if you are hyper fixated on somebody else's life, you are neglecting yourself. Aren't you? Yes. So I'm going to always tell you to study yourself. Yes, you should know your natal chart. How is that demonic? You exist. You exist. You exist. Your natal chart is valid because you exist. You were born. You have a birth date. Everybody here has a birth date. I'm going to tell you to study your human design. Human design is a system created by Ra Uru, and he combined I think the natal chart, I Ching, and it's something else. Dang, I can't remember what it is. I know it's the natal chart, I Ching, and it's something else. I can't think of it at the moment. But he combined all of those systems into the system of human design. He heard the voice of God. That's where it came from. Everybody is so fearful of, oh, this is divination. Yeah, depending on who's using it and for what intention. But if you using it for the intention of studying yourself, what is the harm in that? Come on now. Everything is a tool. Your fucking Bible is a tool. For the holy rollers, it's a tool. And most people cannot even interpret it properly to use it to help other people. You got people that's been going to church for 40 years and don't see nothing wrong with their selves. They don't have no self-awareness. So you mean to tell me that the same book that you are teaching from is not helping other people? Why is that? Why is that? Because some people don't have the sight. They don't have the sight. So no. So yes, this tool can be a tool for this person, but it might not be a tool for the next person. So would you rather be unprepared or be prepared? I would rather be prepared. And I remember growing up, they used to have this question, and they used to be like, well, how do you know if Jesus is real, or how would you feel if you found out that Jesus wasn't real? And I always said, like, well, I would rather for me to believe in it and it to not be real than for me to not believe in it and for him to be real. So I feel like we were given these tools, this wisdom, and we should use it. Not against somebody else's free will, because I will never support anybody using a love spell or a death spell or any type of spells manipulating somebody else's free will, trying to play the role of God. That is not your position. And I feel like you will have everything coming to you, and I don't want no parts of that. I don't want no parts of that. I've already gotten spiritual whoopings for just doing things the wrong way, or for thinking a negative thought like that. That's enough for me. That's enough for me on my level. I'm good. I don't need punishment. I don't need punishment from God. I'm good. You got it, big fella. I ain't got nothing to prove. I am a speck in comparison to you. Hell no. So I don't support that. But why are we so fearful of other things that the Creator created? This is a tool. Who are you studying if you're not studying yourself? Studying means to steady. Study, steady. Study, steady. You are steadying yourself, meaning you are balancing yourself. Where does self-awareness come from? How will you have self-awareness if you don't even pay attention to the stuff that you do? Do you know how hard it is to actually have self-awareness in the first place? Very difficult. Very difficult. And we all have our own blind spots. But if you're not studying what to look for, how would you know? How do you know when you're in your ego? How would you know if you don't study? So I will always advocate for you studying yourself. Why pay somebody to tell you something? And this is me, coming from me. I used to be a reader. I didn't always charge people, but I used to charge sometimes. But I wasn't doing it to charge people. But I did have to acknowledge that I was worth something. I did acknowledge that it should be a barter or an exchange of energy. I realized that. So I don't fully bash people that charge for their services unless it's just ridiculous. Like, if you can't do it, if you wouldn't do it just out of the kindness of your heart, then I don't feel like you have the right intentions. That's just me though. That's just my personal human opinion. But why are you paying somebody to keep telling you sweet nothings basically in your ear from whoever's doing it? Because if they don't have the right intention, or if they're not really hearing from God, then where are you getting your messages from? If they don't have the Holy Spirit of discernment, then they could be giving you the incorrect messages. But when are you going to trust yourself? When are you going to trust that you can have a connection to God's source on your own? When are you going to trust that you can hear the Holy Spirit of discernment? That you can have the Holy Spirit of discernment living within you? When are you going to trust yourself? with yourself. So when we talk about studying or studying ourselves, we focus on human design. When I focus on my human design, and a lot of these things that when I go and I research it, like say my human design or whatever, it just was confirmation for me. Like it was just confirmation telling me that making it make sense. Like my not self theme in human design is frustration. When I'm frustrated, I know that I'm not being in my natural state of peace. I'm not being in my neutral or natural state of mind. So, if you know, if you go and you look at your human design, you put in your information and you look at your human design, you are respecting the system that he already took the time to create, that he got from the voice of God, right? So if you go and you study your human design and you already know what your not self theme is, whenever a situation in your daily life occurs and you get frustrated about something, it rings a bell in your head. Oh, I'm out of my character. I'm out of my energy. What do I need? It shifts your focus back onto you. It takes you back from out of the illusion of attachment to the world, to where you can get back in control over your thoughts and over your energy. That's what these tools are for, so that you can master yourself. Stop being afraid of mastering yourself. You deserve that. You deserve you. You deserve to stand in the truth. You deserve to stand in the light. You deserve to guide others through darkness into the light. When people ask me, what is my life purpose? How do I find my life purpose? That's given to you by God. That's given to you by sitting at the feet of the Creator of you and waiting. That's what meditation is. Emptying your cup. Emptying your mind. The cup is your mind and your heart. Emptying it so that the Creator, the Source, God, can pour into you. Replenishment. Whatever it is that you need. I will never forget sitting at the feet of God, sitting at the feet of my Creator. Through meditation, I didn't take a shroom, I didn't take a drug, I didn't take anything to get there. Besides the narrow path of the heart, I sat in stillness. I sat in meditation. That's how I got there. I don't tell you anything that I haven't experienced. I will never tell you the wrong thing. If I don't know, I will simply tell you I don't know. Or I will try to find the answer for you. But when I sat at the feet of the Creator, I forgot about all my troubles in the world, all of the troubles in my human experience, and I just wept. I wept. I wept from relief, the relief I felt. The relief I felt, I had no burdens. I had no fears. I had no worries. I had no cares. I had nothing but just me and the one whom created me. And I didn't have to say words. I couldn't say words. I couldn't speak. I couldn't do anything but just wept. I wept. And it felt like a kiss. It felt like a warm, encompassing kiss. A warm embrace from something that understood everything I was carrying, everything I experienced in my life, all of the death, all of the grief, all of the depression, all of the worry about bills, all of the worry, all of the emotions I felt, all of the PTSD, all of it, everything. It felt like it understood. And it felt like it took it all from me. It felt like a proud parent. It felt like a hug, a kiss, warm, light. Nothing I've ever felt in this world. That's what it felt like. I didn't feel my body. My body was there, but it wasn't. I felt like a soul. It felt like nothing existed. Nothing was weighing me here to earth. When I sat at the feet of God, there didn't need to be any words. It knew me. It saw me. That's what it felt like to sit at the feet of God. And I didn't want to come back here. I didn't want to come back to my responsibilities. I didn't want to come back to bills. I didn't want to come back to burdens. I didn't want to come back to people's problems. I didn't want to come back to the chains of feeling attached. I didn't want to come back to the titles of expectations from other humans. I didn't want to come back to the expectations from myself. But I knew I had to. My mission wasn't complete. What I agreed to do wasn't complete. I'll never forget how it felt to sit at the feet of God, laying all my burdens down. That feeling of peace, that euphoric state. I don't think any drugs could get me to that space, even if I tried. But that's what it felt like. And I want to go back there. What a beautiful existence to just sit there. So while we endure here and we go through our struggles and we go through our tests of the stories of the lives, the experiences that we chose to experience here before we descended into these fleshly, perishable human vessels, remember that you agreed to experience this life. And as long as you keep pressing forward, you're on the right path. On my cover photo, I said, "Let thy heart be thy confessional. You know, I Googled that. I Googled my page and what my page represents, as if I don't know, from the outside looking in. And I said, what does let thy heart be thy confessional? What does that mean? Let your heart be your space of truth. Live from your heart. That is your truth. That is who you are at your core, your soul. Stop living a life of comparison. Stop living a life of expectations. Stop living a life under programs that are meant to destroy you. Shine your light. All of your life's light back to the source who created you. Thank you for listening. I know I started off fired up, but sometimes that's what you need. I'm Kali. What do you expect? Some guru meditating on a mountaintop that never get knocked off her square. Sometimes I have to step down with my sword of peace. Sometimes appreciate yourself today, tonight. Love yourself today, tonight. Honor yourself today, tonight. Honor the Creator today, tonight, always. I love you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for honoring my wisdom. Thank you for sharing life with me. Peace, peace, peace. It's Bo.